how it started, how everything felt bright. Every glance a little reckless, every touch a light. Now we sit across from each other, careful in the dark, trying to remember where we lost the spark. We still know each other's habits, still laugh at the same jokes, but something in the silence feels heavier than smoke. I trace the timeline backwards, looking for a mark, a moment we can point to, where we lost the spark. It didn't disappear, it dimmed. Where we lost the spark, I wish I knew. Was it in the quiet days, or something we outgrew? I needed fire that chose us, not comfort in the dark. I keep asking softly where we lost the spark. I notice how we stopped, reaching without thought, how effort became optional instead of what we sought. Love shouldn't feel like maintenance or checking off a chart. I shouldn't feel this distant from your heart. You didn't turn cold, we turned calm. Where we lost the spark, night after night I kept hoping closeness would relight. I gave patience, gave space, you gave steady calm, but warmth without ignition can't carry on. You didn't hurt me loudly or wrong, you hurt me by letting the spark be gone. If love needs tending to stay bright, then maybe we stopped at alright. I'm not angry, just aware. Where we lost the spark, I may never find, but I won't keep searching in a fading light. I deserve a love that burns from the pressed it close to mine, but didn't go there. No argument, no closing door, just distance we were naming. That was the night we stopped touching without explaining. I noticed how the space grew wide between your breath and mine. How comfort replaced desire quietly over time. Exactly low, pretending nothing's wrong. That was the night we stopped touching, and something was gone. I wasn't rejected, I was missing. The night we stopped touching still lives in my chest. I kept telling myself this was just rest. I needed closeness that reached for me, not silence dressed as trust. The night we stopped touching was the start of us. I noticed how I stopped leaning in, afraid to feel refused. How loving you became careful instead of true. Love shouldn't feel like guessing when across the line. I shouldn't feel alone, lying this close beside. You didn't pull away, we paused. The night we stopped touching, night after night, I kept hoping morning would make it right. I gave patience, gave understanding, you gave quiet calm. The night we stopped touching outlasted the dawn. You didn't hurt me with distance or shame, you hurt me by letting intimacy fade. If love can share a bed but not a sign, then stop being touch is crossing a line. I wasn't asking for more, just you. The night we stopped touching, I finally knew that closeness without reaching was breaking me too. I deserve a love that moves toward me without discussing. The night we stopped touching, I chose something. Some endings don't argue or rush in, they happen quietly when touch ends. You said my name the way you always do, but something didn't land. Like a note that's slightly off, only I could understand. You asked about my day politely, like reading from a choice. That's when I first realized I heard the distance in your voice. No anger in your tone, no obvious goodbye. that felt careful, like you were stepping by. You laughed at all the right moments, but it didn't feel like yours. I heard the distance in your voice before I saw the door. I wasn't paranoid. I was listening. I heard the distance in your voice long before you left. In the pauses between sentences and the words you never kept. I needed warmth that stayed with me, not something to decode. I heard the distance in your voice, and I felt it in my bones. I noticed how I started speaking softer too, matching your detachment, like that's what lovers do. Love shouldn't sound rehearsed or slightly out of choice. I shouldn't have to translate the distance in your voice. You didn't say it, but you did. I heard the distance in your voice night after night. I kept hoping one honest talk would make it right. I gave patience, gave space, you gave subtle noise. I heard the distance in your voice. You didn't hurt me loudly or wrong. You hurt me by letting love lose its song. If closeness changes tone before it breaks, then hearing it early is what it takes. I wasn't imagining, I was aware. I heard the distance in your voice, so I stopped pretending. I won't ignore the quiet shifts that signal endings. I deserve a love that sounds certain and clear. I heard the distance in your voice, and I chose to hear. Some goodbyes are right without a choice. I heard the distance in your voice. We sat across the table, passing salt and small talk. Your knee brushed against mine, but we didn't talk. Your smile looked perfect, mine did too. We knew something was breaking, but we smiled it through. Friends said we looked fine, like nothing was wrong. We laughed at the right places, played along. I held my breath between sentences, afraid of what I might mention. So we kept pretending and smiled through the tension. I wasn't calm, I was careful. We smiled through the tension, like it would disappear. I I kept hoping silence would make it clear. I needed truth that risked the fight. You needed smooth prevention. We smiled through the tension. I noticed how I softened every sharp edge, how loving you meant stepping back from what I meant. Love shouldn't feel like walking on invisible glass. I shouldn't fear honesty because it might clash. You didn't shut me down, we shut it out. We smiled through the tension, night after night. I kept thinking patience would make it right. I gave hints, gave openings, you gave polite attention. We smiled through the tension. You didn't hurt me loudly or mean, you hurt me by choosing comfort over what we'd see. If love avoids the hard conversation, then smiles become a quiet separation. I wasn't dramatic, I was tired. We smiled through the tension till I couldn't breathe. I won't keep pretending it's easier to leave. I deserve a love that speaks without prevention. We smiled through the tension. Some endings don't shout or scream, they hide behind a practiced smile. It wasn't one big change, no sudden turn away, just tiny shifts in how you spoke, day after day. Your laughter didn't linger, your eyes didn't stay. You felt further every day. We still share the same space, still follow the same routine, but something in the way you held me was no longer keen. I kept telling myself it's just a passing phase, but you felt further every day. I wasn't overthinking, I was noticing you felt further every day. Even when you were near, I kept reaching for a connection that wasn't there. I needed closeness that chose me, not something that swayed. You felt further every day. I noticed how I softened, so I wouldn't push too hard. How loving you meant shrinking parts of my heart. Love shouldn't feel like chasing what used to stay. I shouldn't feel distance in yesterday. Did you fell further every day, night in the dawn? I kept hoping one honest talk would pull you back on. I gave patience, gave space, you gave delay. You fell further every day. It didn't hurt me or wrong. You hurt me by slowly moving along. If love can fade without a fight, and distance grows out of sight, I wasn't abandoned, I was left behind. You fell further every day, so I stopped reaching through. I won't beg for presents that doesn't choose. I deserve a love that stays, not something that strays. You fell further every day and I walked away. Some endings aren't sudden or gray, they happen softly every day. I used to say what crossed my mind without rehearsing first. Used to let my feelings spill, even if it hurt. Now I measure every sentence before it lands. I started holding back my hands. I stopped sending long messages, stopped double-checking tone. Learned how to keep my questions safely on my own. I told myself it's maturity to not overreact, but somewhere in between I started holding back. I wasn't distant, I was protecting. I started holding back when I felt you pull away. I kept shrinking my reactions just to make you stay. I needed space to open up, you needed less of that. So slowly, quietly, I started holding back. Notice how I celebrate when you show the smallest care. Like crumbs can feel like comfort if you're scared. Love shouldn't feel like rationing what I give or lack. I shouldn't have to fold myself into half. You didn't ask me to change, I adjusted. I was careful. holding back, and that was a fact. We used to fill the room with stories, now we fill it with air. You scroll while I'm pretending that I don't care. No shouting, no accusations, nothing to declare, but the silence grew louder between the chairs. Your I'm fine sounds different than it did before. My it's okay feels heavier, like closing a door. We move around each other like strangers aware, and the silence grew louder everywhere. I wasn't ignored, I was unheard. The silence grew louder night after night. I kept waiting for one honest word to make it right. I needed truth there, the quiet, you needed comfort there. The silence grew louder than care. I noticed how I stopped asking questions that matter, afraid one small sentence would cause it to shatter. Love shouldn't echo like an empty hall. I shouldn't feel alone when we're not at war at all. You didn't shut me down, we faded out. The silence grew louder day into night. I kept thinking patience would make it light. I gave space, gave softness, you gave more air. The silence grew louder than the love we shared. You didn't hurt me with anger or blame. You hurt me by letting quiet replace my name. If love can live without a sound, then maybe it's already not around. I wasn't dramatic, I was listening. The silence grew louder, so I finally spoke, not to start a fight, but to stop the choke. I deserve a love that answers when I care, not silence growing louder and shared it. Some endings with something I could hear. We filled our days with motion, coffee cups and plans, side by side in photographs, smiling for the lens. We knew each other's schedule, where to meet, where to go. We shared time, not emotion, and I felt it slow. You would ask me how I'm doing, I'd answer something safe. We kept our hearts on airplane mode, no sudden turbulence. Laughter in the living room, but nothing in between. We shared time, not emotion, if you know what I mean. I wasn't bored, I was untouched. We shared time, not emotion, close but far apart. I kept waiting for a doorway into your heart. I needed depth that held me, not just devotion. We shared time, not emotion. I noticed how I stopped revealing what kept me away, how loving you meant settling for what was easy to fake. Love shouldn't feel like friendly conversation. I shouldn't feel this hollow in a situation. You didn't shut me out, you stayed shallow. We shared time, not emotion, night after night. I kept thinking consistency would make it right. I gave honesty in pieces, you gave routine motion. We shared time, not emotion. You didn't hurt me with anger or lies, you hurt me by never looking past my eyes. If love can function without being felt, then something's missing that can't be helped. I wasn't ungrateful, I was unseen. We shared time, not emotion, so I stepped away. I won't confuse companionship with something that stays. I deserve a love that meets me with full devotion, not just shared time, but shared emotion. Some bonds look steady, but don't ignite. We share time, but not what felt right. Some days you held me close, like I was all you saw. Other days your hands were distant, but no clear cause. I tried to map the pattern, tried to learn the turn, but your love felt uncertain. You promised something steady, then change with the mood. I'd adjust my expectations like lovers do. I kept calling it complexity, something to discern, but your love felt uncertain. I wasn't insecure, I was confused. Your love felt uncertain, like a flicker in the dark. I kept searching for consistency, for something to hold my heart. I needed warmth that stayed, not warmth I had to earn. Your love felt uncertain. I noticed how I started second guessing me. If maybe I was asking for stability. Love shouldn't make you question what you deserve. I shouldn't need reassurance for every word. You didn't mean to waver, you just did. Your love felt uncertain, night after night. I kept hoping tomorrow would make it right. I gave patience, gave belief, you gave half in return. Your love felt uncertain. Oh, you didn't hurt me loudly or cruel. You hurt me by making love conditional. If love changes temperature with every concern, the safety disappears in the burn. I wasn't too sensitive, I was unsettled. Your love felt uncertain, so I chose my ground. I won't build my future on shifting sound. I deserve a love that knows where it stands, not love that leaves me guessing again. Some hearts don't close, they learn. Your love felt uncertain. Every turn, changed the way I spoke to you, made my edges smooth, held my storms behind my ribs so they wouldn't move. I thought you'd see the effort in every careful choice. waited for you to notice. I stayed up when you needed, stayed quiet when you didn't. Learned the weight of compromise and how to pretend. I kept leaving little signs and what I didn't say. I waited for you to notice anyway. I wasn't asking loudly, I was hoping. I waited for you to notice the way I showed up for you, the way I swallowed questions and made your chaos smooth. I needed to feel seen without having to prove it. I waited for you to notice. I notice now how much of me stays small. How loving you meant waiting for you to see it all. Love shouldn't depend on hidden devotion. I shouldn't have to disappear to earn your attention. You didn't overlook me, you just didn't look. I waited for you to notice. Night after night I kept thinking one day you'd read it right. I gave patience, gave quiet, you gave casual focus. I waited for you to notice. You didn't hurt me with anger or lies. You hurt me by never looking in my eyes. If love can miss what's standing there, then maybe love wasn't aware. I wasn't invisible, I was unacknowledged. Claire waited for you to notice, but I won't wait now. I deserve a love that sees me without needing a vow. I won't keep shrinking to stay in focus. I waited for you to notice. Now I notice me. Some hearts wait quietly for what should be known. I waited for you to notice. Now I've grown. We knew something was shifting, but we kept it light. Changed the subject quickly every time it felt tight. You'd say it's nothing, I'd nod like I agreed. We didn't know how to be honest about what we need. I swallow my questions, you soften your tone. We both protected comfort like it was our home. We feared what truth might cost us if we named it. We didn't know how to be honest, so we blamed it. I wasn't hiding, I was afraid. We didn't know how to be honest without starting a war. I kept thinking silence would settle the score. I needed courage and conversation, you needed calm at all costs. We didn't know how to be honest, and that's what we lost. I shouldn't have to guess what you're afraid to convey. You weren't cruel, I wasn't weak. We didn't know how to be honest, night after night. I kept hoping bravery would find the right time. I gave hints, you gave patience, but neither of us confronted. We didn't know how to be honest. You didn't hurt me with shouting or blame. You hurt me by keeping the truth unnamed. If love can't survive a heart sentence, then love was built on avoidance. We weren't enemies, just scared. We didn't know how to be honest, but I know now I won't trade clarity for keeping a vow. I deserve a love that speaks, even when it's hardest. We didn't know how to be honest, now I do. Some endings on anger or rage, they're too hearts afraid. I was a page. We still sat on the same couch, still reached for the same light, but something in the air didn't feel as tight. Your shoulder brushed against mine, but it felt arranged. Somewhere without warning, the space between us changed. We talked about tomorrow like it was secure, but our words felt thinner than they did before. I kept moving closer, you slowly rearranged. Nothing loud or broken, just the space between us changed. I wasn't imagining, I was adjusting more. The space between us changed. Even when we stayed, I kept reaching for connection that quietly swayed. I needed closeness that leaned in, not distance unexplained. The space between us changed. I noticed how I softened my voice and my needs, how loving you meant shrinking to keep the peace. Love shouldn't feel measured or carefully framed. I shouldn't have to wonder why the warmth feels faint. You didn't step away, we drifted. The space between us changed. Night after night, I kept hoping one deep talk would make it right. I gave patience, gave understanding, you gave calm. then staying close isn't staying found. I wasn't overthinking, I was aware the space between us changed. So I stopped pretending, I won't keep bridging gaps that keep extending. I deserve a love that narrows when I'm strained. The space between us changed, and I changed. Some distances grow without a fight. The space between us changed. Roll the night. We shared the same blanket, same side of the bed. Your arm around my shoulder, but nothing was said. The room was full of breathing, but something felt untrue. I felt alone beside you. You'd ask me how I'm doing, I'd say I'm fine again. Not because I didn't trust you, but I didn't know where to begin. Your eyes were on the ceiling, mine was searching you. I felt alone beside you. I wasn't abandoned, I was unseen. I felt alone beside you, closer than before. I kept reaching for connection that wouldn't cross the floor. I needed presence that held me, not comfort we outgrew. I felt alone beside you. I noticed how I quieted my questions late at night. How loving you meant pretending everything was right. Love shouldn't feel like distance in the same room. I shouldn't feel this empty next to you. You didn't push me away, you didn't pull me in. I felt alone beside you. Night after night, I kept hoping morning would make it light. I gave patience, gave softness, you gave steady view. I felt alone beside you. You didn't hurt me with anger or lies. You hurt me by looking at me with tired eyes. If love can share a pillow but not a truth, then closeness becomes something we lose. I wasn't dramatic, I was lonely. I felt alone beside you, so I chose to stand. I won't stay where silence I deserve a love that sees me all the way through. I felt alone beside you. Now I don't. Some loneliness is louder in two. I felt alone beside you, and that was the clue. We still say good morning, still kiss before we sleep, still know each other's coffee, still promises we keep. But something in the feeling doesn't quite fit. Somewhere along the way, love turned into habit. We sit in comfortable silence, not the kind that's warm, just the kind that fills the room and keeps us from the storm. We stop surprising each other, stop reaching past it. I think without noticing, love turned into habit. I wasn't unhappy, I was untouched. Love turned into habit, easy, predictable. I kept waiting for a spark, something undeniable. I needed passion that chose me, not comfort that lasted. Love turned into habit. I noticed how we stopped asking deeper things, how laughter became polite instead of everything. Love shouldn't feel automatic or practice. used to look at me like I was something rare, like the room got smaller when I was there. Your eyes would linger like they had nowhere to be. I didn't know I'd miss the way you looked at me. Now your gaze drifts past me to your phone, the TV light. We still sit close together, but something's not as tight. I catch myself searching for what used to be. I miss the way you looked at me. I wasn't vain, I was value. I miss the way you looked at me like I was chosen every day. I kept holding on to memory of how your eyes would stay. I needed to feel seen, not just physically. I miss the way you looked at me. I noticed how I questioned if I had somehow changed, if maybe I'd become too familiar, rearranged. Love shouldn't dim the wonder or lose its curiosity. I shouldn't have to compete with your indifference quietly. You didn't stop loving me, you stopped seeing me. I miss the way you looked at me night after night. I kept hoping one small spark would relight. I gave softness, gave presence, you gave routine. I miss the way you looked at me and what they used to mean. You didn't hurt me with anger or lies, you hurt me by meeting my heart with neutral lies. If love can stay but lose its view, then something faded between us two. I wasn't insecure, I was unseen. I miss the way you looked at me, but I won't beg for sight. I deserve a love that sees me without a fight. I won't shrink to earn attention or plead to be. I miss the way you looked at me. Now I look at me, some losses whisper before they flee. I miss the way you looked at me. I miss the way you looked at me. We both felt the shift, but we didn't speak. Kept holding on to almost week after week. We said it's just a season, just stress, just a phase. But deep down we knew something had changed. We kept the photos up, kept sleeping on the same side. Kept saying we're okay with practice, pride. It wasn't love that kept us, it was fear of the end. So we stayed a little longer, pretending. I wasn't blind, you weren't cruel. We stayed longer than we should have, hoping time would fix. I kept thinking patience was the trick. I needed courage to let go. You needed comfort to stay. We stayed longer than we should have. Anyway, I noticed how I shrank my truth to keep the peace. How loving you meant delaying the release. Love shouldn't feel like waiting out the ache. I shouldn't have to lose myself to postpone the break. You didn't hold me hostage, I held on to. We stayed longer than we should have. Night into dawn, I kept hoping one deep talk would pull us on. I gave effort, gave excuses, you gave the same. We stayed longer than we should have, in comfort and blame. You didn't hurt me loudly or wrong. You hurt me by letting it linger too long. If love has an ending we feel in our chest, then staying past it isn't our best. We weren't weak, just afraid. We stayed longer than we should have, but I don't regret the way we tried, even when we knew it said I deserve a love that stays without delay. We stayed longer than we should have, and now I'm okay. Some goodbyes are late, but still true. We stayed longer than we should have, me and you. There were no slammed doors, no raised voices in the hall, no breaking of pictures, no final call. Just a quiet understanding that we both could feel something wasn't healing, no matter how we kneel. I folded up my feelings like clothes in a drawer, left the keys on the counter, didn't need more. You asked if I was angry, I said no, I'm calm. Sometimes peace is louder than a storm. I wasn't defeated, I was done. I left without drama, without proving a point. I didn't need an audience to anoint. I needed quiet more than victory, needed breath more than trauma. So I left without drama. I notice how growth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it's choosing to simply walk out. Love shouldn't require a scene to end. I shouldn't have to shatter to bed. You didn't chase, I didn't beg. I left without drama. gentle and still strong. I laugh without drama and moved on. I thought the silence would shatter me, break me in two. The mornings without your name would feel untrue. I braced myself for impact, for sleepless nights connected, but your absence felt different than I expected. I waited for the ache to rush in like a wave, for every corner of this room to feel like a cave. But the quiet felt lighter, not heavy or congested. Your absence felt different than I expected. I was numb, I was relieved. Your absence felt different than I expected. I thought I'd fall apart, but I could finally hear my own heart. I needed peace more than I knew, more than I'd admitted. Your absence felt different than I expected. I noticed how I used to tense before you'd speak out. Loving you meant walking on something weak. Love shouldn't feel like bracing for what's unpredictable. I shouldn't mistake anxiety for something irreplaceable. You didn't ruin me, you revealed me. Your absence felt different than I expected. Night into day, I kept waiting for regret to pull me away. I gave chances, gave history. You gave what you could give. Your absence felt different and I could live. You didn't hurt me with cruelty or lies. You hurt me by making tension feel like ties. If leaving brings more breath than pain, then staying was the greatest strain. I'm not untouched by tide. Your absence felt different than I expected. So I trust what I feel. I won't romanticize what wasn't real. I deserve a love that's steady, it's not something conflicted. Your absence felt different and I accept it. Some goodbyes don't break you like you predicted. Your absence felt different than I expected. I've known what almost feels like, how it brushes past your skin, close enough to call it love, but never settling in. I've walked away from maybes, from promises that peel, but my heart still wants something real. I've learned to spot the patterns, the charm that doesn't last, the way affection flickers when the moment's past. I don't need perfect stories or fireworks on a hill. My heart still wants something real. I'm not chasing fantasy, just honesty. My heart still wants something real, not rushed, not unsure, something steady in the daylight and steady at the door. I need love that doesn't waver when it's quiet or it's loud. My heart still wants something real, and I say it proud. I noticed how I didn't harden after what I knew, how I can still imagine something true. Love shouldn't punish hope for what went wrong before. Shouldn't close my heart just to guard the door. You didn't break my faith, you refined it. My heart still wants something real, night into day. I keep choosing softness in a wiser way. I gave my trust to early ones. Now I wait until my heart still wants something real. I felt the weight of what wasn't right, but I won't confuse intensity with light. If love exists, it won't conceal, it won't make me guess if it's real. I'm not naive, I'm hopeful. My heart still wants something real, and I won't settle down for half-held hands or love that drifts around. I deserve a love that stands without appeal. My heart still wants something real, and it will. Some hearts close after the deal. Mine stayed open for something real. I've known the kind of love that rushes in like rain, promising forever, then slipping through my hands. I've held on to the echoes of what never stayed. Now I'm done chasing what slowly fades. I don't need fireworks or words too grand, just someone who means it when they reach for my hand. I've learned the cost of almost and the weight of maybes. Now I'm ready for stays. I noticed how I didn't harden after what I knew, how I can still believe in something true. Love shouldn't feel like guessing if it's here to remain. I should embrace myself for leaving again. I'm not afraid, just aware. I'm ready for a love that stays through doubt and calm, through quiet days. Without alarm, I gave my heart before in hopeful ways. Now I'm ready for a love that stays. I've felt intensity mistaken for depth. I've called inconsistency passion instead. But love that stays isn't loud, it's present, it's steady, it's proud. I'm not asking for perfect, just real. I'm ready for a love that stays without a treat, without conditions or half complete. I deserve a love that stands when feelings sway. I'm ready for a love that stays. I'm ready for a love that stays. Some hearts grow wiser through the fray. I'm ready now for a love that stays.